One of the things I talk about a lot, because I think it's easy in our society and it's easy with certain professions to be caught up in the next thing, right? Looking forward. And it's still something that I was trained as a high level athlete. It's the next thing, right? You got to go towards the next thing. I regret not, and all the things I've accomplished with the teams and the women that I've been around and the men I've been around, I regret not being in the moment. I regret not looking back and going, wow, it took a lot to accomplish that. And instead of doing like, check, I did it, right? Or check, we did it as a team.
You're on to the next.
You're just on to the next thing. And I've seen many athletes and many high level coaches. I still have friends that coach in the NFL and Major League Baseball. And, I have a really good friend that's the general manager for the Las Vegas Aces at this point. And it's difficult when you've been trained to next thing, keep going, to, wow, I really need to sit even for 5 minutes and appreciate what I've done.
Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the World of Marketing, where I, Tom Foster, talk with legal leaders about marketing mindset and the growth of law firm businesses. This episode is brought to you by my own company, Foster Web Marketing. Since the internet was born, Foster Web Marketing has been the premier provider of customized websites, marketing, video, and strategic marketing solutions for elite law firms. Our unparalleled web technology and marketing systems set the gold standard in the industry, catering exclusively to a discerning clientele who demand the best. Partner with Foster Web Marketing to experience uncompromising quality, cutting-edge technology, and exceptional service. Visit fosterwebmarketing.com to discover how we can help you achieve your most ambitious goals and solidify your position at the forefront of your field. Today, it is my great honor to have Deb Bilbao as my guest. Deb is a globally recognized business coach and executive mentor renowned for transforming the performance and mindsets of Olympic hopefuls. We're going to get into that. It's very interesting, especially right now because the Olympics are going on. Executive leaders and CEOs, over 1,500 business owners and executive teams at some of the highest performing leading corporations have trusted Deb with business performance, growth, strategy, and leadership team development. With a career spanning over 25 years, Deb combines unparalleled expertise in human performance with a passion for unlocking potential in every individual and organization she works with. Deb, thank you so much for joining me on the World of Marketing. It is great to meet you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate it. My last name's pronounced Bilbao, just so you know.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
Right?
It's a thing.
I was wondering if I was going to get it right.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I am so honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's truly a pleasure.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. We were just, before we started the podcast, having a conversation about where we reside. I'm originally from Sandy, Utah, right outside Salt Lake City. I reside a little bit farther from there now, but not too far. I am a former elite athlete, high-level coach. I played Division I college softball at the University of Iowa. Go Hawks. I'm a full-fledged Hawkeye. Had a phenomenal experience there with my teammates and coaches there. And we went to the World Series 3 out of my 4 years. I was a 3-time All-American. It was just a phenomenal experience. That really led me into where I am today. I never knew. I thought I'd be a Division I head coach. I did that for I was a coach for 10 years. Thought I would do that forever. But life changes, and I've coached business owners and executives, and have the distinct pleasure, like you said, of coaching former Olympians on their path. So very grateful for that journey, for sure.
So how does somebody that coaches Olympiads and coaches softball, transform to coaching lawyers?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a fun and unique story all at the same time. So after I was done playing in college, I was in the selection process for the 2000 Olympic team for softball. Didn't make it. Was all divinely guided. So much better people made it. So I went from there, and I started coaching Division I. I was an assistant for many years, an associate head coach, became head coach. And my father passed away suddenly in 2003, and it was, life changes. And so it was come back home, spend some time with my family. I have a math degree. So I like to call myself an athlete.
Good for you.
So I have a math degree. And so I actually went into teaching, and I taught middle school math for almost 5 years, and I ran a math department. So I taught 8th and 9th grade math and ran a math department, and started my first business at that time, side hustle, running camps and clinics, giving lessons, the whole deal, staying involved. And then formed 2 more companies with a friend of mine that I was her assistant at the University of Utah. We formed 2 different companies together, and kind of had a knack for it, but knew I wouldn't do that forever. And so I actually turned those 2 companies over to her. And I was transitioning out of teaching, knew I wouldn't do that forever, and got a job at the Women's Business Center of Utah here. And I was there for 5 years and met with like 1,250 business owners from all different backgrounds in like almost 5 years. So that's kind of how I cut my teeth. I started there in 2014, and knew I was kind of capped out. I loved it there, loved the experience, but there's really nowhere to go. And I'm always kind of searching for the next thing for me in terms of growth and development. And so I switched over to a program here in Salt Lake. I actually worked at a community college, but the Goldman Sachs Foundation has a program called the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Program that they, give funding to certain sites. Salt Lake has one of those sites. And so I was the very long title, but I did a lot of outreach and recruitment development for the program, oversaw our business advisors in the program, helped with making sure the program was delivered, did a little grant reporting with our executive director. And I also was a business advisor in the national program for states and U.S. territories that don't have it. So I had, business owner. I had a business owner from Saipan, and I had a business owner from Puerto Rico, and kind of around the country. So I knew I missed the advising, so I wanted to get back to that. And in early 2020, it was 2019, 2020, I saw the opportunity at Law Firm Mentor and thought, I'd be stupid and not apply for this. And so I was advising part-time for them, as a contractor for 3 months. And I was like, man, this is awesome. I want to be over here full-time. And so they brought me on full-time, and I've been there 3.5 years now, and kind of love what we do. We've served over 160 law firm owners at this point. I know you serve law firms. I've also worked with medical practitioners in my previous coaching gigs. I've done some chiropractors and some medical, just small medical clinics, and working with them on organizational structures, how to grow and scale. And so I've got a smattering of a lot of things in business, which has suited me very well.
That's great. I mean, that just gives you so much wisdom, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I never could have.
Right.
Yeah. I never could have, obviously, I don't think any of us could plan anything that happens to us, but I've been very, very grateful to just have the experiences I've had and be surrounded by the people I've been surrounded by, and allowed to do what I'm allowed to do, and to grow and foster my own growth to improve myself. So it's definitely something I'm in gratitude for sure.
Yeah. And it's interesting. And I'm going to talk about this because I talk to a lot of lawyer coaches, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot out there.
Yep.
And most of them are lawyers, right? They're lawyers that become coaches for other lawyers, but you're not a lawyer.
No,
right?
No, I'm not a medical practitioner either. I'm not a lawyer. In fact, I think that in many situations, it serves us very well.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
To not be a medical practitioner or a lawyer. And the only...
You're a business person.
Yeah,
You're a business person.
Yes.
With experience in business and in high pressure situations. Like there's nothing more high pressure than the Olympics, right? Those situations.
No, trying to make that team was quite an interesting experience. I was I just the whole process of going through that and trying to do it, and it's very different now, obviously, but I was grateful for every piece of it, and I was kind of capped out and didn't make it, and I wasn't meant to make it either. And I have many, many friends and colleagues and former colleagues that did make it and continue to play and coach. And that's really cool to be a part of their journey and witness it from afar and go, wow, I was a part of that. And just, I don't think you really appreciate, I think you've probably had moments too here, Tom, in your life where you've been around greatness and you didn't really know that until you were older.
Sure.
You look back and go, holy crap, that was pretty awesome, right? Like I'm just so blessed to have had a background around so many high achieving, driven, but compassionate, caring people in my life.
And that's what adds to your wisdom, right? Like all these people that and that you can reach out to. So tell me, how do you help lawyers and doctors with their business? What do you guys do?
Yeah. So, well, Law Firm Mentor, we work with, at this point, we're moving towards medium-sized businesses. When it was first started, founded by Allison Williams, our CEO, she is an attorney and still has a thriving law firm in New Jersey. But we've kind of grown and scaled to a little bit bigger organizations. And so at this point, we have all of our coaches, it's ironic, except for Allison, are not attorneys. Which I think helps us provide different backgrounds and experiences. And that has never been, from her perspective, has never been something that's required. I think most of the coaching she's gotten and has not been from attorneys.
That's probably why.
Yeah. So I have an area of expertise, and we all do the basics of business, those kinds of things, but we all have different specialties. My specialty is, team and growth development, HR, building a good, robust structure for that, hiring, firing, onboarding, offboarding. What does it take to build a team with great culture? Obviously, I have a huge background in sports psychology because of my background. I am not a sports psychologist, but I've had enough of it to know how to integrate those things into my life. And so I do a lot of our mindset stuff with Allison. She does that as well. I have a math degree, so I know enough about the financials to be dangerous, but that's not always what you want. And so we do have one of our other lead coaches, Wolfgang. He's a financial wizard, so he tends to specialize in those things. But we really, at this point, like I said, we've served, a little over 160 over the years, business owners. And we've grown significantly, and we're continuing to grow, and we love what we do in the community we create, and it's been pretty awesome.
So tell me how it works, to explain how it works. If I'm a lawyer and I'm like, we talk to you guys, law firm, and so tell me the process. Yeah.
So we have a few things, and we've made adjustments over the years based on what we needed in terms of our own growth for Law Firm Mentor, but who we want to serve and how we want to do it. And so we have 3 different coaching programs, and we also have a platform that people can just join and get a feel for it. But in terms of coaching, we have the Premier program, which it's our lowest tier coaching program. You receive one-on-one coaching twice a month, but it's a half hour each time. So you get a full hour, and then you have access to the community online. There's a lot of things and a lot of trainings that we do going on there. And then all of our coaching clients, included in that pricing at this point, is we do two retreats a year where everybody comes. We go to different locations in the country, come together when we present topics, have guest speakers, those kinds of things. And our community really likes to get together. That's our lowest tier coaching program. The one up from that is called Elite. It's a little bit more robust, more involved there, a little bit longer coaching, twice a month, but longer. You're assigned a coach, and then we have a lot of, all of our coaches will coach everyone in certain respects. You're assigned an individual coach. So I have specific clients assigned to me. However, we do have things that are taught in the community. So we go live. I'm doing one this week. I'll go on Wednesday talking about, team roles and how to do that. And so I'll be online for that. So I plan for that and get on. So we deliver content live as well. And then we also have kind of the purview of bringing in, if I have a client that's really going through a little bit more robust financial situation where we need to really elevate, we have high levels of accounts receivable, we got to get in collections fast, right? And I need to look at what's happening. So I might bring Wolfgang in and let's talk about what's going on. So I get a little bit, so we're on the same page there, and they get their knowledge and expertise. Our highest tier program right now is the Mastermind, and that's for 7-figure plus big business owners that have a team and they're really scaling. And so that's a much smaller group, and me, Allison, and Wolfgang, the 3 lead coaches, we run that program. And so those are individual, we're doing group coaching with them actually 4 times a month. And they also have their individual coaching, and their second in command is part of the Elite program. So we're trying to get them out of the weeds, right? But to work together with their COO or law firm administrator to really grow and scale their business. And we do 3 deep dive week-long events with them in person, with that smaller group, really diving into their business. What are they dealing with? How do we want to grow a scale, and how are we doing that? So,
Wow.
yeah. So
That's kind of
it's fun.
different than what I've heard before. But you guys got a team, right? You guys have specialists for particular areas. It's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, it's really afforded us well, and we kind of try to look for that. We look for people that obviously have a vast understanding of business, not just all law firms, because there's a lot of things that can be learned from working with different types of businesses that you can bring into a law firm. But yeah, so we have one of our coaches, Jesse, we call him the systems ninja. He's like, his mind just works like operational systems. Plus he worked in high level marketing for a number of years, continues to do that. So he's the specialist in those areas. Coach Chris does a lot with leadership. Leadership is kind of his jam. And so he does that. And Wolfgang, like I said, financial wizard, he's done M&A work, turnaround work. He does all kinds of things. And so all of us together have a vast background and experience in different areas that really, divinely works in many ways to help our clients. And so we do have the purview, which is awesome, to bring in coaches with each other to make sure we're maximizing the opportunity for the client. But in terms of our coaching, it's up to me to basically say, okay, we're not quite there yet. When you're there, we're going to bring in Jesse for that particular system. We're going to talk about that. We're not quite there yet. Let's go through these things. Now we're going to bring in Wolfgang, right? Okay, you're having some serious leadership stuff. Let's bring Chris in and let's have that conversation, right? And it could be a series of 2 or 3 meetings that they're in, or back and forth. We always like to be on the same page with our clients.
So it's all customized, right? Like I imagine everybody comes in and you got to figure out what their issue is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you put the right pieces in place to help them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all about.
Yeah. So when they first, come on, our onboarding process is pretty specific. Obviously we don't take everyone, because you might not be the right mindset, might not be the right fit for us, might not be, we might not be the right fit for you. But when you do come on, we're really clear about the process of making sure you have a pretty high level VIP. We call it a business plan, where they come on board and it's like, okay, we're going to go through kind of what's going on in your business. So we get a general overview. They fill out a pretty large intake form, because we want to see what's happened in the past. What's your team like? How do you rate your team? Where do you want to go? What do you want to really accomplish in the next year? What do you want to accomplish 3 years from now? So it gives us a really robust understanding. We meet initially one-on-one for at least 2 hours with the owner or co-owners, if they're partners, to really go through and develop that plan. And we give them a pretty good understanding of, if your people are hitting their metrics and KPIs and performing at a high level, this is what you can anticipate. This is what you should anticipate and hold people accountable to, not just financially, but culturally, and what you want it, what kind of environment you want to create in your business. So we tend to do that. And then out of that plan, we are being very structured as coaches with them about, because humans tend to get ahead of ourselves very quickly. We tend to say, okay, here are the first 3 things we're going to be working on, moving you in the direction of where you want to go. It's up to us to kind of wrangle, put the bumper lanes in, because it's really easy for any high performer to get distracted.
Well, sure. And, like I love your tagline here. We transform lawyers into CEOs. Lawyers and doctors, they go to law school and medical school, right? They don't go to business school, right? They don't know they know how to do the legal work or the medical work or whatever. They know how to do that very well, most of them. But they don't know how to run a company. They don't know how to run a business, right?
Yeah.
You find that as well?
Yes. So I like to say it this way, and this happens a lot with people that have professional licenses. So it happens to CPAs, it happens to doctors, it happens to lawyers, is they're practitioners that have had to have a certain standard, not just in law school or medical school. I know in law school, they, rank them. I'm sure they do it in medical school too, about where you are. And so it's always a constant competition. And I say they get guilted and shamed to death. Is don't do that. It's against the law. Don't do that. It's an ethics violation. I'm sure for medical practitioner, I've heard, okay, I can't make a
Yeah,
mistake
yeah,
in
yeah.
surgery. I'm going to lose my license, right? And so there tends to be a lot of restriction and fear that's created out of being that professional practitioner.
Interesting.
And that oftentimes is in direct conflict with being a really good CEO. Being a business owner, most people don't understand, is the whole point in having a business is to create the freedom and the wealth that you want and be unlimited in that ability. But if we take our lawyer brain or our doctor brain or whatever it is, and we put it into CEOing, we tend to limit our ability to be successful. So I talk a lot with them about when you are doing CEO activities, we need to be very clear on our calendar. We've got to put that line of demarcation. I'm a CEO here. I got to take my lawyer hat off or my
Right. Yeah. Good.
hat
Yeah.
off, because there's a lot more freedom over here as a business owner. And mistakes sometimes are critical to success.
And risk.
It's okay to
You got
do
to take
that.
risks.
Yeah, you got to take risks. You can't necessarily do that as a lawyer. You can't necessarily do
It's
that.
so hard for lawyers to take risks.
Yeah, they don't.
hard for
Well,
them.
because
Yeah.
it's their client is either going to
Right.
go to prison, right, for the rest of their life, or they're going to lose their kids, or, you know, whatever it might be, or they're not going to get, you know, allowed to get their visa to enter the country. Whatever it might be, it's so you have to do these steps. And if you don't, you could lose a client, right? Or they're going to lose something out of their life. So it tends to be a very fearful, restrictive place. And that's not helpful for business owners. That needs to be a free-flowing, not all over the place, but I need to go and make good decisions and one step at a time. And there's not, we tend to get into what is really a CEO. There's not, it's almost like I think people think that there's this like, oh, there's like a picture of exactly what a CEO is. It's different for everyone. And I think it's hard sometimes where people are so used to step by step to understand that there's freedom here and there's joy here and there's a lot of passion here, and it can be your way and it can be different. And that's sometimes hard to transition.
Yeah, for sure. Do you guys work with any particular industry, in niche?
Practice area?
Yeah, practice area.
We don't actually. Obviously we have a lot of family lawyers just because there's a lot of family lawyers. We have a lot of immigration, a lot of criminal defense, not a ton of criminal defense, but enough. We have business litigation, PI work. Man, I'm trying to think of all of them.
Well, that's pretty much it. Bankruptcy.
Well, I mean, there's lawyers that are moving into like we've had entertainment lawyers in the past.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we've had
sports,
the NIL stuff that's going crazy. Like if I was going to go be a lawyer, I don't want to be a lawyer, by the way, but I would do that.
Yeah,
I would do that. But it's, yeah. So we have a lot of, we have estate planning, taxation lawyers. I mean, you name it, we kind of serve.
You got them all then. So you can help.
We have a number of them. What I think is the only thing that tends to be different about the different practice areas is really, there's a few things, but most importantly is how you bill. Are you hourly? Are you flat fee? Are you contingency? Do you have to submit, a waiver to the court paid? That is really the nuance of business for them. And we like to say three things is like, how do you get the work? How do you get the clients? You're talking about that marketing, right? How do you get them consistently? Repeatable process. How do you do the work, right? The efficiencies, law firms, as well as medical practitioners tend to get bogged down in the work. We're not very efficient. Our systems aren't in place. We're not holding our team accountable. And then how do we get paid, right? How do you get your money? The whole point of doing all this shit is to get paid.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do we get the money? How do we do that consistently so that cash flows up, profit margin moves towards where you want it to, and you're looking at overhead expenses and being, spending money in the right places.
Right, running your business properly, which most of them do not know how to do.
No, I don't think there's ever been a business owner. And at this point, I'm trending towards, I stopped counting at one point. I'm trending towards 1,700 business owners I've worked with. It's crazy. I would not recommend that many people. I just got a lot in a short period of time at the Women's Business Center, but there is not, one way to be a business owner. And people tend to think that they fall into business, whether they got let go from something and they needed to hustle to find something. And so they started a business. To me, I always feel like even though it was a hustle, it was intentional. You intentionally created a situation for yourself so that you didn't have to go through it again, right? Most people say, there's very few people that I've ever worked with, and I've worked with a number of them, but there's very few people that run family-run companies, right? Those are over the years where they've transitioned and somebody stayed in the family business and from generation to generation. But most people don't grow up around business owners. Nobody in my family owned a business. It was paycheck, get a pension at that point, those kinds of things. And so I never thought I would end up loving business, loving to be a business owner. And there's just not one journey, there's not one way that goes into anything for any one of us. And so that tends to, I think, incapacitate a lot of people, is they feel like there's one path to be a business owner, and there's not. And it doesn't have to look like anybody else's. You could have the same practice area in the same location, the same type of services, and you can serve people very differently.
Well, of course you will. And that's the funny thing is everybody's like, I want to be like that guy. I want to just do what he's doing, or, whatever that. And it doesn't work that way. You've got to go your way because you're different. You're different. You're different, even though you might be doing the same thing.
Well, and I'm sure in your world, Tom, is like with marketing, right? You probably serve similar clients in terms of what they do, but how they want to do that in their messaging and how they're going to reach their clients and their ideal client will be completely different. And so 100%. What you do with one client is going to be completely different than what you do in another client,
right.
And that's the joy in what we get to do. That's the fun part, right? But people tend to look at things, and I've worked with, restaurants and coffee shops and government contractors and manufacturers, and everybody tries to look and say, okay, I want to be that. Well, what if that doesn't work for you? So that's where I think the uniqueness of all of us as humans can really benefit us if we dive into that to be a great business owner. Is really there should be freedom there. There should be joy there should be, I don't want to do it that way, so don't do it that way.
Yeah. So tell us about one of your best experiences, one of your best clients that you've worked with, you've coached.
So we have a number, and that's really hard. I've before Law Firm Mentor, when I was at the Women's Business Center, I got to work with a variety of mostly women. We did have male clients as well because we had a specialty in getting certifications for government contracting. And so I had a woman that ran a manufacturing company at that point, was able to get some certifications, and then was able to get a $23 million government contract. I mean, that was life-changing for her and her family, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then servicing. So that was really cool. I had that happen also with a woman-owned construction company, which was very awesome to see that. In terms of our law firm clients, we've had so many be successful that it's hard to compare them, but there's a few that have transitioned from, I'll use one, education law, right? We have a former actual special educator that became a lawyer, that she was just servicing smaller group of clients. She had very few private clients and was getting most of them, the court was appointing her work. And that was very limiting because, court appointed work is usually at a much smaller rate. So generating the kind of money that she wanted to generate for her business and for her family was difficult. And so the transition over, she's been with us, I think now almost 4 years now, and is trending towards 7 figures in revenue in education law. So, and she's transitioned completely out of the court appointed work. So she is doing, all private work at this point. And what's really cool about her is she had a life before being a lawyer. So she was a special educator before becoming an attorney. So she knows what both sides are like, which I think is really cool. And her team's grown. Her team has doubled. Her revenue has doubled at this point, and her profit margin's doubled. And she transitioned completely out of court appointed work. So that's fun. We also have a significant number of immigration tends to be a practice. Immigration and PI tend to be the firms that can really blow up, right?
Yeah.
They can go very large very quickly depending on settlements and how many people you want to, how many clients you want to serve. We have a number of immigration firms that are, in the multi-millions at this point. And their teams, we have one client that's, her team's over 30 at this point.
Wow.
She's very large, yes. So it's fun to witness,
Wow.
right? Yeah, she's going after big law at this point. I don't think she considers herself big law, but they're servicing
30 people. Yeah, that's big law, immigration. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have quite a few people. We have somebody that, we have a number of business attorneys that are really like business litigation that are looking to go big at this point and not do the smaller businesses, really scaling to larger corporations, because even larger corporations, they don't have enough in-house lawyers to facilitate that always have the expertise with high-level litigation. And so to come in and prepare them, not just litigation, but what do I need to do so you don't get yourself in that situation again or in the future, right? So it's pretty dang fun to witness these different areas and see them scale and, also see them change where they're spending about as much as they're making, right? You can make 1.1, but you can spend 1.2.
Easy.
Right. So to see
I
them
know it.
move their team towards efficiency, move their team towards performance. And, we've had another immigration law firm within a quarter of being with us. She went from no profit to like 30% profit within
Nice.
a quarter. Well, yeah, it's great. But she was really somebody that just takes action, right? She came in and was like, okay, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it. Right. And she just kept doing it and was able to right the ship and move her team towards success pretty quickly. It doesn't mean it's not scary. She's just like, Deb, I'm going to do it anyway. We say do it ugly because if you wait to do it perfect, you never will. So it's, those moments are really fun.
Yeah. How do you have any like things that have happened that you regret that you're like, oh man, I wish that had worked out differently?
There are I don't have a lot of regrets in my life. One of the things I talk about a lot because I think it's easy in our society and it's easy with certain professions to be caught up in the next thing, right? Looking forward. And it's still something that I was trained as a high level athlete. It's the next thing, right? You got to go towards the next thing. Is I regret not, and all the things I've accomplished with the teams and the women that I've been around and the men I've been around, I regret not being in the moment. I regret not looking back and going, wow, it took a lot to accomplish that. And instead of doing like, check, I did it, right? Or check, we did it as a team.
You're on to the next.
You're just on to the next thing. And I've seen many athletes and many high level coaches. I still have friends that coach in the NFL and Major League Baseball. And, I have a really good friend that's the general manager for the Las Vegas Aces at this point. And it's difficult when you've been trained to next thing, keep going to, wow, I really need to sit even for 5 minutes and appreciate what I've done and what I've been a part of, because that's when I look back and go, man, that would have just to be like, great job. We just don't do that. We're not.
No, nobody does.
Taught to celebrate like, little moments. And so that's, right. I regret that. But I don't regret anything about my journey, because every mistake that I've made was to my benefit in the future. In the moment, it might have sucked, right, for all of us, but it's always made me first and foremost a better human, a better partner, a better business owner, a better, athlete, a better coach, because I'm like, okay, we're not doing that again.
Right.
So I regret not just appreciating those moments. And
it's funny because I'm reading Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson, the biography, fascinating. And Elon, very successful, obviously, very driven, but same thing, right? Like he's a drama. He has to have the drama. Yeah. So he creates these crazy ridiculous targets, and that's what he does. And then he gets it, he achieves it,
Mhm.
but he's not happy. He's like, he's got to get another one, right? He's got to create another one always. That's where he finds his happiness, is in that drama
Yeah.
of creating that stress for himself.
Well, and I think
people are like that.
Yeah, I think most humans are actually like that,
Yeah.
whether you're that driven or not. High performance, and not every human does this, is high performance does require a certain level of drama. Now, I don't think it
Or
needs to be
they're
that.
risk averse, or they're
Yes,
completely
yes,
risk
it's
averse,
opposite.
right?
It's one or the
Yeah.
other, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah, yeah.
there's an addiction to like dopamine in either direction, right?
Right.
Right. So for me, it was
Fascinating.
the addiction to the next thing. Okay, if I like just grind it out, and I keep doing it, I make adjustments, and I go, and then I accomplish it. Oh, check, I did it. But I don't really look back and go, holy shit, how long did I have to do that one thing? Right? How many
Yeah.
reps did I have to do that one thing? Right. You just, okay, I can do it right now. Right. But it's the addiction to the hustle, right? It's the addiction to what's the next thing. And one of the benefits for me is, yes, I used to be similar to that. I mean, obviously not as extreme, but I think a lot of athletes, I've worked with a number of athletes when they transition out of playing or transition out of coaching, and it tends to be like a huge fall, because what happens in those moments is you get that dopamine hit pretty consistently. Okay. You get it in practice. You get it by your teammates, like, hey, come on, let's go. Right. You get it as you're running next to each other to challenge each other. You get that. And then when you go into coaching, like for me as a athletic coach, when you're coaching at a high level, you get that against not just getting your team, but strategizing and trying to beat the coach across from you, right? Let's be honest, it's a competitive thing. It's an ego
Yeah, for
thing.
sure. Yeah.
Like, but then when you leave that, and most places it's not like that. In fact, it shouldn't be like that, right? It doesn't mean that, we shouldn't lead into ego, because that's part of why we're successful. But I know for myself, I'm very good. I'm much better with a team and building an awesome team and being around an awesome team and moving towards high performance. I would have been a horrible single, individual sport athlete. I would have been like bored as shit.
Right.
So I never could have played like tennis or golf or, any of those things by myself. I just would have not been anybody that can do that. I'm like, thank God you can, because that is just not my gift.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. What position did you excel in when you were?
Yeah, I pitched and played third. So,
nice.
I pitched mostly, but as I transitioned, growing up, I played first and third and also pitched, and then I caught a little bit, but in college I pitched and played third, and then that's what I was trying to do on the Olympic team as well. But they also had somebody that did that. Her name's Lisa Fernandez, and she was like one of the greatest softball players of all time. So was not going to. She's one of the coaches at UCLA at this point. So there's no way I was she'd already made the Olympic team numerous times. So that was not a competition.
Yeah. Oh, well, but that's good. That's great. Well, congratulations for all that. And congratulations, for what you've been able to do and help so many law firms and other businesses, in their business.
Well, thank you. It's an honor. I mean, I genuinely love what I do. I love what I do. I love the challenge, even when it's frustrating. Most of the frustration is can't do it fast enough, right? We're competitive,
of course.
As well, but it's also, I think the frustrating part as a coach, when you're really good at what you do, is trying to be better, right? And what does it take to do that? That to me is the fun part, but it's also, you can't move another human if they don't want to move. I think 100%. That's what is, even for you guys in marketing, I would imagine you're like advising, right? You need to be doing this. And they're like, no. That tends to be the restrictive part in what we do, is trying to get, I think that's society in general, right? Trying to get another human being to listen and support and understand, to get out of fear, to make great decisions. It's one of my unique abilities is to walk them through that process, but it's an honor to do so.
Yeah, very good. So how does somebody get in touch with you? Is it lawfirmmentor.net is the
It
website?
is. Yep, absolutely. Lawfirmmentor.net. Obviously, if they want to connect with me personally, they can go to my LinkedIn. I think you're going to have something in the show notes, as well as all of our other links. There's
Links below, everybody.
Yeah, links below. You'll be able to contact us. Happy to, have great conversations.
Discovery call with you guys.
Yep.
And, that
Yep,
way.
we have two great people and we have two great just strategists that are amazing on those discovery calls that you get incredible value. And that's Tony and Kyle. And they are high quality, high level people. That is something that we drink our own Kool-Aid. We try to, in that we surround ourselves with people of honor and integrity, and that's imperative in today's world. And so, Kyle and Tony are amazing. So
there's a lot of people in this organization.
Yeah, we've grown. We're 10 or 11, I think, at this point. Looking to continue to grow and scale, and we've really elevated probably the last year and a half or so, and that was Allison's decision to get a true high level COO. Leanne, she's amazing, and just what we're doing. And again, we're all driven people, which is great. We tend to meet each other. But it's right. Yeah, I love our organization. I love what it's about. I love who we serve and our team. We are truly a team, and it's fun. We have a blast together.
That's great. Well, Deb, it has been great to meet you and to get to know you better. I'm very excited to introduce everybody to you and the Law Firm Mentor.
Okay, awesome.
I think you guys are doing a great job. And
thank you, man.
I'm very thankful that you agreed to get on the show.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, thank you so much. I am looking forward to just seeing more from you guys. And podcast, I think, has been going for a while, doing very well. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep serving those, those attorneys and those medical practitioners, because everybody needs the support that you're providing.
Been doing it 25 years now.
Yeah, man. That's no joke, right?
Right? Yeah, exactly. Okay, you stay on. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. It's been Tom and Deb on the World of Marketing. Have yourselves a wonderful